Hey, welcome back to Nights and Weekends with me, Marcus, the one man band on this side of the internet, as always. I'm too poor to have anybody else help, so I got to do this all by myself. So today, this is going to be a relatively quick one. We're going to talk about what I saw in the news a little bit earlier this week from good old Bernie Sanders. So let's go on ahead and click on this guy. This is what came across my radar earlier this week. Bernie Sanders, independent from Vermont. You can just put progressive from Vermont. Announced Wednesday he will be introducing a bill to establish a standard 32-hour work week that would result in no loss of pay. Okay, so let's go right here. Moving to a 32-hour work week with no loss in pay is not a radical idea. Today, American workers are over 400% more productive than they were in the 40s, yet millions of Americans are working longer hours for lower wages than they did decades ago. That has got to change. So, Ed and Marcus, go ahead and put in the clip of him on MSNBC.
Well, for a start, the 40-hour week, as I recall, was established in 1940. What's gone on is workers today are far more productive. I mean, think about all of the technology and equipment that's out there today. So the question that we're going to be asking tomorrow is who benefits? Workers should benefit from these changes, not just large corporations and the stockholders.
So we have that there. And then let's put on the clip of the hours worked.
The sad reality is Americans now work more hours than the people of any other wealthy nation. In 2022, employees in the United States logged 204 more hours a year than employees in Japan, 279 more hours than workers in the United Kingdom, and 470 more hours than workers in Germany. Despite these long hours, the average worker in America makes almost $50 a week less than he or she did 50 years ago after adjusting for inflation.
Hopefully Ed and Marcus did a good job of spicing that on in. Hopefully. Same guy, but who knows? So we can end up looking right here really quick before I click on these other links. He's saying that millions of Americans are working longer hours for lower wages than they did decades ago. The thing that's nice on the internet is that you can actually look up this stuff and see if it's true. Let's click right here. So he said decades ago. This is 2019. This is real earnings in 2019 dollars. So in 2019, it was $23.38. Back in 1964, the average hourly earnings was $20. Okay. So he's saying that we're making less than what we were decades ago, when in actuality, we're making, adjusted for inflation, about what we were right at 1969, somewhere around there. So he's wrong on that. Okay. And also, for some unknown reason, to me, it kind of feels like I'm on that movie Zoolander.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
If you work less hours, you are going to make less money, at least in the advanced countries like America, Germany, Canada, Italy, etc. So let us look here. He said that on average we work more hours than all these other countries, which is true. As we can see here, America, we work on average 1,811 hours a week. I mean, not a week. It's not that many hours in a week. A year. I work more than that, but whatever. And he brought up Japan. Let's find Japan. They work on average 1,607. And he brought up Germany. Germany on average works 1,341 a year. Now, let us click out of this. Again, to me, this is simple math. If you work, oh, no. Let us do a little shortcut here really quick. So it depends upon when you want to start. If you want to look at the amount of hours worked. So I went ahead and I went to the good old OECD, and they have stats going back on the United States from 1950. So on average, so as we can see here, back in 1950, you'd have to, I tried to blow this up, honey. I couldn't, but uh, we worked about 2,000 hours a year, the average person. France was outworking us, maybe because they were helping to rebuild up their country, but they worked 2,351 hours a year. Okay. But if you go to the future now, let's go all the way. The average American is working almost 200 hours less per year than we did 72 years ago. The average person in France is working 800 hours a year less. And let's look at the Germans. Theirs didn't start until 1970 on here, so they were working almost 2,000 hours. And now they're working 1,341. Okay? But again, let me go and add the clip in here of Dr. Vitter.
I am a statistician, and we have heard a lot of statistics thrown around. So I'm here to make some sense of these and make sure we're analyzing them properly. We'll take a brief look at some of these studies to understand these statistical flaws. Many of the news headlines touting these studies discuss the stress or happiness levels of workers who work less time. Inevitably, over the short term in these short pilot projects, it's not inconceivable to imagine that happiness levels increase. Long-term statistical studies of this have shown us that happiness does not increase over time. It goes back to the same level. For example, the study in France, after mandatory government reduction of hours, saw a return to the same level of happiness after 7 years. Another major flaw in these studies is the self-selection bias. For example, the companies that choose to participate in some of these studies, like the 4-Day Week Global Study, are companies whose work tend to be able to be adapted to a shorter work week already, who can remove, quote, wasted hours. However, over 70% of the U.S. job economy is people working with their hands. They don't necessarily have extraneous meetings or too many coffee breaks to cut out. So statistically, you can't apply this type of cutting of hours across the entire economy.
All right. So you saw what she had to say. Now, I straight thought that this was self-evident. Again, to me, this just makes common sense, but apparently to some it doesn't. So you have the United States here at $76,343.25. Let's look at Germany. $48,756.31. Of the large countries on here, not places like Switzerland, Norway, Luxembourg, places with substantial populations, the U.S. is, of the large countries, is the top dog. And that's because on average here, or at least we used to bust our ass. But this whole thing has actually been tried before. And I'm going to throw in the clip of Dr. Vitter talking about Japan. So throw in that clip, buddy.
In terms of increased productivity, by shortening the week, the statistics just aren't there, and there are specific studies that show the opposite. Japan tried it, as Dr. Cassidy said, from 1988 to 1996, and the result was not ambiguous. Economic output fell by 20%.
I had never heard of this. I thought that she was lying. So I said, okay, okay, no, I never heard this. Let me go look it up. So I actually went and looked it up. And it's true. This is from the Journal of Japanese and International Economies from June of 2022. I did not know this. So here we go. Work week shortening policy has significant negative effect on Japanese output. Edit in Marcus here. See, I thought I wasn't going to have to pop up, but present day Marcus just screwed it up. So I went on for a few more minutes reading something that that didn't get to the point, but here we go. I went ahead and highlight it here. Okay. Work week shortening policy led to a 20% reduction in output from its potential level by reducing hours worked over the 1988 to 1994 period. The rise in labor tax led to an 11% reduction in output from its potential level by discouraging hours worked. Okay. So let me get back to me really quick. So as like we can see there, again, if you lower the amount of time worked, you're going to produce less stuff. Now, just for the smart folks out in the audience, you could say that this was precipitated. The fall in productivity was precipitated by the bust of their housing bubble, but that's not fully the reason why. Again, if you work less hours, you produce less stuff. All right, back to present day, Marcus. Again, I thought I lost my mind. I said, okay, that actually didn't happen. Yeah, it did. Now, there was a person at this hearing that Bernie Sanders had. His name is John Leland. He was one of the people talking about, hey, we should definitely have a 4-day work week. So I had to go look this dude up. He's the vice president at Kickstarter. So this stuff works in situations where you have office workers. Again, this is why I say you can probably fire most of them because most of them don't do anything. So if you can remember from Dr. Vitter's first video that I cut in here, 70+% of people don't work in offices and we work with our hands. I'm one of them. Okay. If you cut my stuff down to 4 days, which I will just make more money because I cannot work any faster. Okay. There's no amount of labor saving devices unless they make a robot that can do my job literally. And I'm probably one of the last folks that's going to lose his job to AI. But the greater point is this. Okay. For people like him and others who have these office jobs who don't really have to actually manipulate and produce stuff with their hands, it's easy to cut back on meetings, which I did a little bit of research on this yesterday on the Lord's Day. And it looks like the vast majority of places where this has been tried is in nonprofits, office settings, and the biggest labor saving thing that they do is cut meetings. They send an email instead of having people sit through an hour or two of meetings a week. That is what it mostly comes from. But let us look at what happens when you actually do this in real life with people who have to actually build stuff. So this happens to be in Ohio at a place out in Willoughby. They build custom RVs. So NPR does what they do because they're a leftist rag. As a matter of fact, this comes somebody that used to listen to NPR all the time, so I know what the hell I'm talking about. Edit in, Marcus, just to add emphasis. Remember, this is the same group of people who interviewed a woman who made the book In Defense of Ludin and gave the softest of softball interviews. Just to reiterate the point. Back to present day, Marcus. Okay. So if you look here at the headline, a manufacturer tried a 4-day work week for 5 days pay and won't go back. You would think, oh man, dude, they must be making more money. They must be doing a better job. Nope. So let us go down here. Let's keep scrolling. I had it highlighted, but you can only highlight one section at a time. So let's keep going down. Let's keep going down. Here we go. Yeah, skeptics in the ranks. I'm with that person. So again, this is so funny. They literally buried the lead at the very bottom of this thing. This is where they put it. So this is the owner, Noondorfer. There we go. Productivity did take an initial hit, but happiness is up. Why not just frame it like that? Why not say, hey, you're going to be happier making less money, being less profitable, having a lower standard of living. Okay. So if we read here, you lose productivity. And when you lose productivity, you lose some volume and you lose some profit. He's hoping in the next few years, through all these labor saving devices with his people, that he'll be able to make up the productivity losses. Sorry, I got my hat on. But if you go to this 4-day work week stuff, you're going to, and again, if you do this over the whole economy, we're going to have exactly what happened in Japan. We're going to have a fall in productivity. And the stupid thing is here that apparently we didn't learn our lesson from COVID. If you cut productivity and you make less stuff and you keep giving people money, you just have inflation. I saw a chart the other day that said since 2021, prices as a whole are up 18%. That's because we had people stop making stuff and we gave them money, which is the dumbest thing possible. Okay. So I had wanted to throw in this very last clip as to why, in my opinion, we almost shouldn't listen to anything that people like Bernie Sanders or he says in particular. I'm going to put in this clip, or editing Mark is going to put in the clip of the hearing itself.
Even attend church or services on a Sunday.
After time, I am got a lot of questions, so I'll ask.
Why are the people behind Bernie Sanders still wearing masks, and the person behind the guy on the right are living like it's 2019? Why? Again, this kind of makes you think that you shouldn't listen, that you should not listen to them. Let me just go ahead and polish this one off. If you cut down the amount of hours worked and you're giving somebody the same amount of money, okay, you're going to live a lower standard of living because prices will adjust, period. They will adjust upward, and we're going to be in the same position. Again, this isn't groundbreaking. Water makes stuff wet. Gravity pulls stuff toward it. Nothing is faster than the speed of light. These are just basic things that somehow, maybe because life here is so comfortable, that we've forgotten it. We have forgotten what struggle is. Maybe. I do not know. But hey, I appreciate you tuning in. This 4-day work week stuff is stupid unless you want to live a lower standard of life. If that's what you want to do, fine. But you will live a lower standard. You will make less money. If you want to live like they do in places that work less, you're more than welcome to. Don't force everybody to do it. Okay. So, hey, I will see y'all in a week. Hopefully, hope I can get a like, I don't know, share this with somebody who you hate. I don't know. All right. But I'll see ya.